While the U.S. and European leaders are pinning their hopes on diplomacy, the head of Israel's army is telling Israelis to prepare for a prolonged war with Iran. The conflict has already come at a high cost. Dozens of Iranian missiles have already penetrated Israeli air defenses, and there are now reports Israel could be running out of the interceptor missiles it uses to fend off Iranian attacks. Let's take a look at the systems Israel relies on to protect its skies.
Israel uses a multi-layered air defense approach, made up of a number of moving parts, in some cases quite literally. Tuck-toed missile units form the innermost layer, the Iron Dome. It's designed to tackle short-range threats, such as rockets and mortars, and was developed with US help. It has intercepted thousands of rockets since it was first deployed in 2011. Next comes David's sling for mid-range threats. It is designed to shoot down ballistic missiles fired from up to 300 kilometers away. Again, it was developed together with the United States. The outermost layer of Israel's air defense shield is Arrow for longer-range ballistic missiles. It destroys incoming threats outside the Earth's atmosphere. Whichever system is used, intercepting rockets is a costly business. One Arrow interception is estimated to cost around $4 million, and each David sling interception is estimated at around $700,000. There is another important layer too, Israel's Air Force, a key part of its air defense. And there are new tools coming, such as Iron Beam, which uses high-powered lasers to shoot down aerial threats. A scaled-down version has already intercepted Hezbollah drones.
Wes Rumbaugh is a fellow in the Missile Defense Project at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, an American think tank based in Washington. Welcome to DW. Now, how are Israel's air defenses standing up so far to the attacks from Iran? We know some missiles have made it through.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of missiles have made it through. There's no such thing as a perfect air and missile defense system, so that's sort of to be expected. But I think that Israel's air and missile defenses have handled themselves have acquitted themselves quite nicely throughout the operations. And I think that that's due to two things. First, the just technical capability that we've seen from systems like the Arrow missile defense system, which has performed capably both in these recent engagements, but then also last April, as well as last October. And then secondly, the advantages that Israel has created through its achievement of air superiority in Iran. And that's limited the ability of the Iranian military to launch large salvos of missiles at Israel continuously, because the missile launchers have been a target, missile production facilities have been a target for the Israeli Air Force. And so those missile launchers and things can't operate with freedom within Iranian territory to have a base for their attacks on Israel.
Yeah, you say they've done fairly well so far, but there are reports that Israel's interception rate has dropped from 90% earlier this week to 65% now. What could account for that?
Yeah, I would guess that is a signal that, inventories are starting to get a little bit tighter. And so they're having to be a little bit more selective about which targets that they're intercepting and how many missiles that they can fire. So, oftentimes you fire two to make sure that you intercept and increase the intercept probability. And so your shot doctrine will change as your inventory gets tighter, as well as then, if you see that the missile isn't headed for a strategically important target, then that you'll start to make different decisions about whether or not you intercept those missiles.
What kind of weapons has Iran been using to attack Israel?
So one of the big constraints that Iran has here in its inventories is it has large stockpiles of short-range missiles that it would have typically used and would have usually funneled to proxies that are closer geographically to Israel. So proxies like Hezbollah would have been in range of some of its larger arsenals of short-range missiles. But since Israel's degraded the capability of some of those closer proxies, it's had to lean on its long-range missile arsenals to retaliate against Israel here. And so that's really limited the amount of missiles that Iran can use in its available stockpile of missiles to retaliate against these Israeli strikes.
Iran says it fired Fatah 1 hypersonic missiles at Israel. Is there any evidence that claim is true?
I think that's sort of a branding exercise on the part of Iran. Every ballistic missile that travels over that sort of distance that between Iran and Israel is going to reach hypersonic speeds, which is defined as just greater than Mach 5. And so it's going to go through space at some point and achieve a hypersonic speed at some point. The question is, does it have the maneuverability or some of the other characteristics that would make it more challenging to intercept? I have some skepticism on that front.
What kind of help is Israel currently receiving from its allies to fend off aerial attacks from Iran?
Yeah, so we've seen reports that U.S. assets in the region, like the THAAD defense system, as well as the Patriot defense system, have been involved in at least some of the intercepts. It hasn't been entirely clear, what the scope of the U.S. role or how many interceptors it has mobilized for that. There are also reports of destroyers sort of moving into the region, which would mean the ability to use the Aegis combat system and the Standard Missile 3 for certain intercepts in that scenario. But we haven't seen any reports of those usages yet.
The interceptors alone are costing Israel around $200 million a day. There are reports that Israel's stockpile of precisely the one you mentioned, the Arrow interception missiles, is dwindling. Do you think they even have enough to sustain the campaign at the intensity we have been seeing in the past week?
It's certainly going to be a challenge. They can't sit and play catch indefinitely. But in this case, the Israelis are also, targeting missile production facilities, missile launchers, missile bases, et cetera, to try to deny those launches before they have to intercept them over Israeli territory. The secondary challenge, though, is that means that Israel has to sustain the large-scale air operations and air superiority operations over Iran and over the entire territory of Iran, which will be a challenge for Israel, considering that it's also had its Air Force, running at high operational tempos over the last couple of years with its operations in Gaza.
What would it mean if they suddenly ran out at any front of, let's say, interceptors or missiles they can launch at Iran? Would that put them with their backs against the wall? Paint us a picture there.
It certainly would result in larger numbers of Iranian missiles hitting targets within Israel. It would, obviously the nature of the damage would depend on Iranian targeting decisions. We've seen, I think, a hospital. We've seen some infrastructure, in Haifa hit over the last couple of days. So you would see greater amounts of destruction there, which could increase the cost for Israeli citizens and the Israeli public in terms of their willingness to support the operations that they have undertaken so far.
We've talked a lot about Israel now. What about Iran? What do we know about its missile stockpiles?
I think that, it's rightful to look at and ask the questions about Israeli missile stockpiles, but the inventory question does go the other way. And to strike Israel from Iran requires its longest range ballistic missiles and longest range cruise missiles and longest range drone systems. And those are the ones that are the most scarce capabilities as well. So Iran's inventory is likely to dwindle over time in addition to that. And you've seen smaller and smaller salvos of missiles over time as the conflict has worn on. It's always difficult, though, to say they will run out of missiles. We've seen a number of people declare, the Saudis and UAE declared that they had destroyed all of the Houthi missile capability during some of their operations in 2015 and 16, only to have the Houthis be able to launch ballistic missiles at their territory for years on end afterwards. So it's always difficult to get an estimate or to say definitively that you've got them all when it comes to those missile capabilities.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you so much. That was Wes Rumbaugh from the Missile Defense Project at CSIS.
Thank you very much.
Let's get more on this from our correspondent, Tania Krämer in Jerusalem. Welcome, Tania. What more can you tell us about the latest strikes?
Yes, just earlier this afternoon there was another missile barrage launched actually across Israel. We had sirens in the north and the center and also in the south. Now I can tell you in the north from the the emergency services, they confirmed that 23 people were injured, most of them lightly, but we had 3 people in serious condition. That happened in Haifa. Now also they told us that one person died of a heart attack while running for shelter. Now, there were also several hits reported in the south. We don't have the location yet about that, and also in the Tel Aviv area as well. So most of the missiles were intercepted, but again, we've seen also, because there has been a stronger barrage of these ballistic missiles, some evaded the defense system. And we also heard from some security official that they suspected at least one of the warheads was a cluster warhead. These are the very lethal warheads there, but we have no confirmation which of the strikes they are referring to. And that, of course, happens, as you said, while the Israeli Air Force is also continuously operating in Iran, and they have said they're at the moment operating in southwestern Iran mainly.
OK. Stay with us, please, Tania. We're going to take a look at your report about how Israelis are dealing with these attacks, and then we'll come back to you.
This is where an Iranian missile hit in a residential area in the heart of Tel Aviv. A reminder how lethal the missiles are and how different this conflict is. Since Israel attacked Iran, life here has been dictated by the rhythm of phone alerts from Israel's Home Front Command and air raid sirens warning of incoming ballistic missiles from Iran.
I try to live minute by minute, so I want get to the stage that I can manage how am I feeling, because it's something really hard. It's sad seeing all this destruction around us, and I know people who are affected by it.
Some places have reopened in the last couple of days, but things are not normal. The constant threat looms over everything. Many people with foreign passports are stuck in Israel as flights have been cancelled.
Reached a point where Israel realized, okay, we can't wait any longer. What, do we wait until the bomb's on its way to Tel Aviv, or do we attack them preemptively? So anxious, yes. Worth it, yes. Do I regret that I extended my trip? Definitely not.
Alerts can come at any time.
We just got an alert on the phone some minutes ago now. The sirens go off and people here from the neighborhood are coming now to this shelter. Some people don't have a cell phone at home, and this is why they have to come here.
On the way into the basement after another alert, sirens ring out on people's phones. And once in a while you can hear the sound of explosions caused by missiles that have evaded Israel's defense shield. If it's close by, the basement shakes.
Obviously you worry when you hear something, how close is it, how far is it, is anyone that you know in danger, what's the damage going to be like?
For some, it is a first-time experience.
It's a very unfortunate situation. A lot of things are stuck and are not moving. But what can I do? This is a situation that people have to go through and get over. There's a lot of lessons for me to learn. How people live in a war situation, how the common people are affected.
Among some Israelis, there's a sense of defiance about Israel's attack on Iran.
We have to do it. We should do it a long time ago. Yeah, otherwise we will suffer again like October 7th one more time. So what we did, we should do it a long time ago. It's better late than never.
After half an hour, the all clear comes via text message. But there will be a next time.
Back to Tania Krämer in Jerusalem. Tania, tell us more about the mood there.
Well, I mean, as you could hear in the report, I think people are very much aware that this conflict is a bit different what they have experienced maybe previously, with militant group Hezbollah or with Hamas, that, those ballistic missiles that are launched at Israel are much more lethal. They're leaving also this trail of destruction. And it's true when you're in the shelter, there's always this sense, okay, when you hear something really close by, people are very nervous about it. At the same time, I think there is also, you can hear people talking about it. They know, the Iranian regime is, they feel this is really an existential threat to them, and they feel that somehow this is necessary. It has been for years. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had talked about attacking Iran and its nuclear program, also its ballistic weapons program, and now this time has come. So there is support for this. There's certainly also critical voices as to, what is the end game of this, where will this lead to, but at the moment people know that they have to, just go through this.
And meanwhile, away from Iran, the war in Gaza continues. What's the latest there?
Yeah, absolutely. Gaza is completely overshadowed by this conflict now with Iran, and we have daily news of people that are killed trying to get their hands on some food. The aid agencies are warning the situation is really getting desperate. I mean, we've been saying this for months and months, but it's coming really to a point. We had UNICEF saying that the water situation is really difficult now. 40% of drinking water production facilities, they said, remain only functional. But also we've been hearing from the local health authorities there in Hamas ruled Gaza that at least 25 people were killed today while waiting for food trucks, and also there have been airstrikes reported across the territory with more fatalities and injuries. So the war in Gaza is continuing.
Thanks, Tania. DW correspondent Tania Krämer in Jerusalem.